everybody. Welcome to another episode of All the WrestleManias, the podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Hackman.
And I'm your co-host, Rich Sigwald.
So look, we got, this is so exciting, you guys. I don't know if I've ever been excited like this for a show. I was trying to think of the last time I was this excited for a show, and then I couldn't think of anything. So, Rich is right there with me.
Oh my God, yeah. We got a real legit wrestler to come and talk to us, like our little show.
not just a wrestler, Rich, the VCW heavyweight champion. So I first saw our guest at a VCW event back in August of last year, just not too long after I moved here to Norfolk. And I messaged Rich right away, and I told him, like, look, they got this big guy. He wears a boar mask. He's got fuzzy boots. He's super over with the crowd, and the kids freaking love him, even though he looks kind of scary. But the kids were totally digging. And he has an amazing tagline, and that tagline, are you guys ready for this? It's Boar Is War.
That's so good. It's so good. And like when you sent me pictures, and I started to mark out over it, and I'm not even there. Like I can't. Like this is an incredible. It's an incredible look. It's a great gimmick. And obviously, just from the photo that you sent me of a boar flying through the air, I was sold immediately.
Rich is a big Macho Man fan, so that elbow, that's all he needed to see. So, Rich made a special song for us. We're going to enter. Do it.
We are entering the Boar Zone.
This is Boar.
That's dope. I'm ready to go commit crimes now. I'm all hyped up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Boar. Thanks so much for being here. We're super excited.
Tim, Rich, thank you for having me on. A lot of high praise you're throwing my way, so it definitely means a lot, and appreciate the support, and it's quite the honor to be on, so thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So first off, congratulations on winning the Virginia Heavyweight Championship just last month from Logan Easton LaRue. What a jerk that guy is,
right.
Over at Hampton High School. That was a fantastic show and a really great match.
Thank you. Logan, he's a jerk in the ring, but he's really good, which makes it that much more annoying. But yeah, he's really good. He's definitely one of the best unsigned talents out there. I don't need to put like a region or qualifier on it. He's incredibly good. Like, to me, like, Netflix gives you recommendations, like, when you get done with the show, like, oh, you may like this. Like, to me, if you like Christian Cage, you will love Logan Easton LaRue. There's a lot of similarities there in ring. And he definitely doesn't get enough love, and made it all that much better that I could beat him for the heavyweight championship of Virginia.
Yeah, it's a big deal, man, and the crowd was super pumped. One of the big things I like about your whole thing is the crowd chants Boar, and they root for when you rev up for the gore, they get all hyped and they chant right along with you. And it was I thought it was really cool actually to see your fellow wrestlers come out and celebrate the win with you afterwards. It seems like you have a lot of support there in the VCW locker room.
It's definitely cool, and we got a really good locker room right now. We're loaded with talent from the first person who steps out from that curtain until the main event gets out there. We got an excellent locker room. There's always going to be egos as far as like athletics and competitiveness goes, but as far as egos that kind of negatively affect wrestling, there's none of that in our locker room. So I can't sing the praises enough of just the crew that we've got going on, from everybody behind the scenes that's making everything happen to all of us athletes going out there and getting the job done in the ring. So yeah, not surprised that that card in Virginia at Hampton High absolutely rocked top to bottom, but it was a special surprise to have most of the roster out there hoisted me up Bret Hart style at WrestleMania 10, giving me the big championship celebration. Was really cool.
We're huge Bret Hart fans.
That's right. My man.
Yeah, we talk about Bret like it's probably an excessive amount. I mean, Rich, would you say it's excessive, or you think it's about?
I mean, it's worthy. Like it's the proper amount. It's a lot,
Yeah.
but it's a proper amount. I mean, after I met him, I kind of like I couldn't talk for about a half a day after having 5 minutes of a conversation with him. That was life is over. You know, where am I going to go from there? Sure, I have a kid, great, but I talked to Bret Hart. You know, so
I talked about Bret Hart's wrestling style as a sort of metaphor for my management style, and I think that's a big part of how I got my current job. I talked about it like in the presentation to all the library staff, and they're like, what is this guy talking about? I'm like, and then I got the job. So Bret Hart saving lives.
He's the man. I've gotten to meet him. They say like never meet your heroes unless you have the chance to meet Bret Hart. Like he was really cool to me when I was just getting started out, and really like took time out of his schedule to like pull me aside and give me some pointers. Nicest dude. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did it feel to win that belt, man? That's is this your first like major belt? I'm sorry, I don't know for sure.
No, first championship at all.
Wow.
And it was very validating. And I haven't really had too much of a chance to talk about this, but so a little bit behind the scenes, towards the end of my run in Chicago, which a lot of people may know me from, I had a meeting with the person who was running things there, and we kind of talked about my wrestling style, and I was really starting to come into my own a little bit of like what you see now. And it was a tough journey to kind of find myself as a wrestler, and the best way I can describe that is there's an old analogy that wrestling is like ice cream. There's a bunch of different flavors and a little bit for everybody, right? But to me, no matter where you go, you're going to see two flavors, chocolate and vanilla. And they might be plain, they may not be fancy, but they're the best-selling flavors. And they're in every ice cream shop for a reason. And that's what I identified myself with as a professional wrestler. Chocolate and vanilla. Nothing fancy. You know what's coming, but you love it. And so being told by a lot of people, like, we don't really want chocolate vanilla ice cream here. Like, that sucked for a really long time. And I was just kind of pigeonholed as a tag team wrestler, which is, I love tag team wrestling. Being a bigger guy, kind of just getting brought in to be like, all right, you're going to be the villain for like this guy, right? To actually have a company get behind me and to have fans get behind me like they are at VCW, it's overwhelming. It's very satisfying. There's definitely like a vindication there. But man, to win my first championship, to have it happen in VCW, which is my hometown promotion growing up, you couldn't write it any better. It's like the stuff from movies, and yeah, I'm really happy it happened there, and I'm really happy that they're taking a chance on me, and the people are behind me, which is super cool.
No, that's really awesome. And we put some questions together, kind of about your journey, and before we get into that, though, I want to make sure that we plug the next VCW show. It's coming up April 22nd, the Masonic Temple on Granby Street here in Norfolk. Now, that's the place that I saw you first back last summer. It's a great venue for shows. It's
absolutely.
It's really a cool building, actually, and so far it's looking like a stacked card. So we've got the Boar, obviously, defending against Buckshot Brian Brock, and we'll talk a little bit about him with Neil Sharkey. Special guest Christopher Daniels. You guys know Christopher Daniels, of course, the Fallen Angel, big name from TNA, now from AEW. He's going to fight your old nemesis there, Logan Easton LaRoe. That should be a fantastic match. The Liberty Lottery champion Dirty Money's defending against the Hoss of all Hosses. Man, what a name. Devontae's also with Neil Sharkey. That guy's everywhere. And you can, of course, find tickets and info at vcwprowrestling.com. I've got my front row seats already. I think the front row seats are sold out.
That's right. They're gone.
And there's still some ringside. Am I right?
Couple ringside left, so jump on that at, I believe, vcwwrestling.com. I might be wrong about that. I'm not too technologically savvy, but I believe that's where you can find them. And then there should be hopefully some balcony seats there available for walk-up as well. But
and there's no
I wouldn't wait.
Yeah, there's no bad seats. That's my wife and I sat up in the balcony last time. It was awesome. We kind of spread out. And then one of the cool things about the VCW shows, if you guys haven't been, is sort of at the intermission, the talent comes out and sort of sets himself around, and you can go talk to him a little bit, and you can sign photographs. You can buy T-shirts. I wanted to get a Boar T-shirt the first time, but the line was insane. Like the kids were like clamoring all over you, man.
It's a great problem to have. I've had to put in a couple extra merch orders, which is a lot of money up front, but getting people in these Boar Is War shirts, it's an honor and a privilege. So yeah, come on out, check us out on April 22nd. Let's sell that out. Every month that we run, it's a new April record for ticket sales. VCW's been around for a long time. I think close to 20 years, if not over that. They have a long history. Every month, though, it's something new. It's the fastest front row sellout. It's the fastest this sellout. It's the most pre-sales we've ever done. It's the best December we've ever done. Like, the way that people are turning up, it's super awesome. But I wouldn't risk walking up to the building and plan on getting tickets. Go ahead and get them now. That way, when you get there, you've got your seat, and you're going to have a seat for all the action.
Well, you also don't want to miss the Boar defend, his first title defense against Buckshot Brian Brock. So don't miss that for sure. All right, Rich, we're gonna give you a chance to actually ask a question because I'm sorry I've been talking the whole time.
No, are you going to get your hands on that Neil Sharkey jabroni at some point here? Like, he seems to be a real pain.
Nothing would give me more pleasure than dotting a couple I's of Neil Sharkey. He's a very good manager. He'll do whatever it takes to get his crew to pick up a W, and he's looking to pick up a little bit more than just a W. He's looking to pick up my VCW Heavyweight Championship. And Brian Brock, he is undefeated in VCW in singles action. He's a little bit all over the place. He makes a lot of towns, and he is a big boy. But I wouldn't want it any other way. This is the Heavyweight Championship of Virginia. It's not an open weight, not cruiserweight, not X Division. This is heavyweight. So I'm very thankful that I'm getting a heavyweight for my first challenge. I wouldn't want it any other way. And we're going to show, big boys can bring the house down.
Yeah, so this whole thing, I'm still speechless that you're on the show, and
oh shucks, come on guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a big deal for us, and we really appreciate it. And so let's dial it back. What got you into the business?
I just always loved pro wrestling. Like, it's kind of this, I hate to say the same story that like every kid has. Like, there's not a moment I can pinpoint when I started watching wrestling. Like, I have baby photos of me sitting in front of the TV watching wrestling. So it always kept me captive. It always had my imagination. And then as I started to grow up and get into sports, I was pretty athletic. I just had a natural ability and a kind of to go in that direction. And like as I started getting older, started growing, I was like, oh. Before I knew it, I was like 6'3". I was like, oh, wrestlers are 6'3". But I was really skinny. So I was like, well, I got to do something about that. And, as I eventually made the decision to get into wrestling and to give it a shot, that was the first order of business, was putting on some pounds. So, it's just something I always wanted to do. And I was kind of at a crossroads with, like, continuing my education to eventually get to wrestling or, like, just getting straight into wrestling. So, I just had to make the jump.
Yeah, where did you train initially? Like, or are you like one of these folks that just like got sucked into the ring and then just beat the crap out of you for the first like year or whatever? Did you? No,
I wasn't that fortunate. I went to the Shikara Wrestle Factory. At that time, it was still located in the ECW arena, now the 2300 arena. So that's where I paid my early dues, getting to be, I think I might be one of the last trainees to come out of that building. I got to train with Mike Quackenbush, Sarah Del Rey, and Claudio Castagnoli.
Oh, wow.
Before he left. I got to train with some tremendous wrestlers, and the staff at the Wrestle Factory was ever growing and changing out. So, I mean, I got to train with Chuck Taylor, Drew Gulak, Orange Cassidy, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams.
Hot Sauce.
A lot of talent stopped by in Philadelphia in the various Wrestle Factory locations. So a lot of talented hands helped guide me.
No, that's super awesome. Rich lives up towards Baltimore, D.C., and that's where I lived as well until I moved here, and we caught a bunch of Ring of Honor shows at UMBC up there, and we were always looking for a hot sauce Tracy Williams appearance. That was always a highlight. Him and Cheeseburger,
Him and Cheeseburger.
Those two dudes. Good dudes behind the scenes, good brothers, as we'd like to say, but also in the ring. Good luck finding many better than them. They're about as good as it gets.
Yeah. So, what's your fitness regimen? You said that you had to put on weight. Do you struggle to keep the weight on, or do you have something now going? Are you eating?
So coming out of high school, the best way I could describe it was like I was built like Kevin Durant, like just long, gangly, skinny. I couldn't keep weight on for anything. I would work all summer to put on weight to come into soccer and basketball season heavy. And 2 weeks into training, I would lose 30 pounds, and I was back to $140. So eventually, I just had to eat everything I could. And the trick that really did it, I would have I'd have like a little can of A&W soda like every night, like just chug it and then go brush my teeth and go to bed. And eventually, I started packing on the pounds.
The bedtime sugar bomb will do it.
Yeah, so I kind of hit a plateau around like 225 when I first started training. I couldn't get any bigger than that, and then I started working with a personal trainer, and he put me on to it's just a mass gainer, regular mass gainer, a certain brand. And I took the mass gainer and changed up my lifting a little bit, did more Olympic style lifting as opposed to a lot of wrestlers will do like bodybuilding stuff. But we went straight into Olympic lifting, a lot of like CrossFit lifts and stuff like that. And before I knew it, I was 265, and I've gone up as far as like 290, which was a little too big. And right now I'm settled at about 265, 270. So that's my wrestling weight. It's where I like to be.
Yeah, so what's the tail of the tape on you? So what's your height, weight, arm reach?
6'4", 265. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what my reach is anymore. Yeah.
Two tusks.
Two tusks, four hooves. Can play small forward, power forward, a little bit center if I need to.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched some of your stuff on YouTube, and you definitely have like a Kevin Nash kind of presence
high praise.
and poise, like the way you stand in the ring and some of your mannerisms in the ring. Would you say he's an influence on you, or are there any?
Man,
who else is an influence?
He's definitely an influence. It's funny you mentioned about like being relaxed, almost Nashian, because one of the first pieces of feedback I got back at the Wrestle Factory once I started doing like practice matches was, quote, "I don't know if I've ever seen somebody so relaxed in a ring, and I'm not sure that's a good thing." It's because I was watching too much Kevin Nash, if there is such a thing. So yeah, you nailed it. I love Kevin Nash, another hero I got to meet who was the coolest dude. So shout out Big Kev.
Well, and the announcers occasionally call you Pig Daddy Cool, which
Big Daddy Cool, of course,
is pretty rad. That's a great nickname.
Yeah, so Big Kev, definitely an influence. Sid, Scott Hall, Bret Hart, the Stinger, Big Steve. Shout out to the Big Stinger. Those are probably my main influences, and of course, I don't like to give him a lot of credit personally, but probably like the 86 to 88 run of Hogan. Especially like a lot of his house show work is just exceptional. So yeah, that's definitely a source I draw from as well.
You have a pretty good big boot, just like the Hulkster.
Thank you.
I was actually kind of thinking Hulk Hogan, just because from some of the YouTube stuff I watched, you were doing a really great job of selling and making your opponent look good without making yourself look too vulnerable at the same time.
Thank you.
And that's basically what Hulk Hogan did. He got his ass beat for, 5 minutes, and then he starts shaking. He points. Yep. You get punched 3 times, and then you weren't as formulaic as that, to where, oh well, here comes Hulk. All right, I can stop watching this match now. But Yeah, I can see definitely Hulk Hogan, that time period, being influential in your ring stuff for sure.
That's a keen eye, thank you. Yeah, definitely steal from him. Like I love that like run he has with Morocco at MSG. Like I love that series, and that's like what I really try to pull from because he gets like really formulaic. I think after the Andre match at WrestleMania 3, but like kind of before then, like he's having Haas sprints. Like he's having like 8 to 10 minute bangers at MSG, and you know we don't bleed in Virginia, but you know if we did, probably show how much I love the business, and you know set up a steel cage match for the third match. Like you know I think there is something you know with most things in life, it's just the circle. Like what's old is new again. So you know steal from one of the greatest of all time when it came to making money. You know why not?
Yeah, I was telling Rich about the blood rules here in Virginia, and I kind of think we should just start. You know, like the legal defense funds. We should figure out what the fine is. We can crowd fund it, and then we can have an honest to God bloody match, and the fans will pay off the fine and make it. It'll be well worth it. So, any idea what? I have no idea. Do you know what the fine is?
I have no idea. I've never been bold enough to find out.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, so like Vince can just pay it, right? So when WWE comes to town, they don't really blade anymore. But like, I think you just
take
a walk with the commissioner down the hallway. Perhaps I don't know. I don't know what those rules are.
Yeah, the old shake and take.
There's the story that when WWE came to Baltimore for a pay-per-view, Vince was going to wrestle Stephanie, and the Maryland Athletic Commission doesn't allow cross-gender wrestling. And so he went to the commissioner and paid the fine in advance, and then had the match anyway on the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
must be nice to have more money than God.
Nice, yeah.
So we talked influences. I just wanted to. I found a fun video. It was a video of the top 5 moves of the Boar, and they were. Have you seen this?
That was a while ago, I think. That came out.
So the big boot, spinning sidewalk slam that you do, that one's really awesome.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. You don't get dizzy doing that?
It kind of depends. Every once in a while, like it'll hit me, but it's like 50-50.
There's a power slam. There's a move called the Baconator, which kind of looked like a sort of takeoff on an F5. Is that how you would describe it?
Sean O'Hare's old Widowmaker.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just a beautiful, beautiful gore. A spear that's just... I like the flip that you do after that. You don't see that too often, especially for a big guy like you. Like that was amazing. So
thank you. And this is not planned. Sometimes I flip, sometimes I don't. It all depends on like how hard I hit somebody.
I mean, it makes it look more legitimate because like it looks like you're not just like knocking them down with like a shoulder tackle like a lot of other wrestlers' spears look like. This one looks like you're hitting them and then driving them into the mat and then flipping over to make sure that momentum drives them down. And I think
it's a lot of just like self-preservation because I do try to go as fast as I can through somebody. And in order to not break my neck, I just try to tuck and roll, kind of like I'm jumping out of a car. Yeah. So it's not by design to like, let me add a flip so I can, be cool. Like no, it's just so I don't break my neck when I'm trying to cut somebody in half.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. I was super impressed with that Macho Man flying elbow up in Hampton.
Oh, thank you.
Like, do you do that very often?
That one's for the big matches, Okay. Got the old body can't take too many of those.
That's right.
But yeah, Macho Man. Shout out to Test as well. Big elbow from the top. It's one of my favorites to do, but it's something I try to keep in the back pocket for big matches.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to overdo it, right? You got to make it special. I was in the second row, and I got this amazing shot of you flying and the ref looking up and your opponent down on the ground. Like it looks like a Renaissance painting. I'm going to get it blown up and put like across the whole wall in our bedroom. I think my wife will be into that. So,
shout out to Logan because I know I squished him real good on that one too.
He deserved it. What a jerk. Yeah. So we part of what we do on the show is we watch old wrestling and including WrestleManias because that's in our name, and so that's why we're always interested in talking about who your influences are. But we're also kind of interested in sort of what the current stuff we watch. Pretty much, I watch more WWE than Rich does. He watches more old WCW than I do. But we both try to keep up with the latest. Are you watching anything cool at the moment that you're super into?
I try to keep up with main product WWE. Like I usually do it through YouTube. I think that's how their business is formulated now, anyways. So I feel like I get a little bit more if I watch it in YouTube clips. And then AEW, I don't watch every Dynamite, but I have a lot of friends there, which is really cool. So, like, if one of my friends have a big match, or like, it's a bunch of them on the card, I'll definitely catch it at night. Maybe not live, but I'll catch it later in the night and kind of fast forward through commercials. So yeah, I try to stay up to date on AEW, WWE. Try to sometimes know what's going on in Impact. I know they have like a wonky taping schedule a little bit. But I also have some friends there, which is really cool. So try to at least, know the A, B, and C storylines of what's going on there as well. But I think that's probably it for current wrestling.
As a fan, do you have any current favorites that you really enjoy just watching?
The big dog, Roman Reigns. He is. I think like great runs of guys. I hear NFL players talk about it. Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a Hall of Famer. There is no comparison. And I think Roman's run from 2020 when he came back, going through now, I put it up there with whatever year of Flair you want to pick. His 87 to 89 run, Brett's November 96 to November 97. Austin's 98 to 99, Rock's 2000 to 2001, whatever. Like, there's 5 or 6 guys that have like true all-time runs, and Roman is now in that grouping. So whatever way you want to order them is one thing, but like to me, like it's a very reserved class at the top, and he's definitely up there now.
Yeah, and Roman just keeps getting better too, especially his ability to get heat without really doing much. He's so good at just getting the crowd to hate you. He's developed a good smarmy look as a heel, and now his ring work is getting a lot better too, in my opinion. I found him boring, honestly, at first, but like that match with Sami Zayn and then the match with Cody at WrestleMania, which made me throw my phone. He's really grown on me as a worker and a great person just to watch. And I've always been a fan of like all the NOI wrestlers that have come through the years, from Rikishi and Yokozuna and stuff. So he's right up there with them, in my opinion, now at this point too. So yeah, good pick.
Yeah, he's a big dog for a reason. He's up there. Orton, I know he's out right now, but Orton's another guy who's consistently been like my favorite dude, probably for the last like 15 years or so. Christian Cage, talked about him earlier and comparing Logan to him. I think Christian is definitely the best heel in AEW in my opinion. But again, one of the all-time greats. He's kind of I call him the skeleton key of professional wrestling. You put him in there with anybody, and their work is drastically different from before the Christian feud and then after the Christian feud. Whether you want to talk about Kenny Omega, in my opinion, Jungle Boy, Randy Orton, Edge, like whoever he comes in contact with at a certain point in his career, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, like I can keep going. There's a difference from before the Christian feud and after the Christian feud, and how guys like work harder, work smarter, get different, like whatever the goal is, whether it's to get sympathy, whether it's to be upset, like they have just a better way of communicating those emotions and kind of structuring their matches and putting in those moments where they fit a little bit better after a Christian feud. Eddie Kingston, man. When Eddie Kingston is on TV, and I borrowed this saying from my buddy Joe Sposto, you might know him as Leonard F. Carson. When Eddie Kingston's on TV, I forget wrestling is fake. Like, I'm super invested in what he's doing. I believe everything he's saying, and my breath is hinging on him, winning or losing. So those are probably like my top dudes right now who I really enjoy watching.
Yeah, I remember watching Eddie Kingston on NWA Power with him and Eli Drake. Whenever they popped up, that's all right. This is. I'm not missing this promo. I like both of them talk in a way that's like real. You're right. Like you forget the wrestling's real. There's something that's coming from the heart from them that makes it really seem like legitimate, and this is going to be a throwdown, because even though Eddie Kingston looks like your next door plumber, he's ready to fight, and he's angry, and he's got a lot of passion in his words, and yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, and don't be confused. Like, I know you're not, but any fans out there, one of the, like, if not the toughest wrestler I've ever been in a ring with. He's one of the best wrestlers going today, and like he's a throwback and he's a classic. Yeah, he's the man.
I get Piper vibes from him.
Definitely see that. Yeah.
Yeah, he has that kind of brawler thing, and that sort of just perpetual smartass thing going on. So let's see. So we talked about current wrestling. All right. So we thought this would be fun. So our wives sort of barely tolerate this nonsense with the podcast, and anytime we go somewhere wrestling related, I would say my wife is a really good sport. She's watched so much of it with me. She's actually sort of into it now, and she's got the lingo down, and she's like,
oh, all right.
She's like, oh shit, I think he did that the hard way. I'm like, honey, I love you. And anyway, so we thought it'd be fun to let them put some questions. So Rich, here's one from Rich's wife. Do you want to read that one, Rich?
Sure. So my wife wants to know, if you could get in a time machine to be ringside for any match, what match would it be?
That's a good one. I'm gonna. It's not too much of a time machine, so I'm gonna go back to November 1995 in Landover, Maryland, for Survivor Series 1995 to watch my favorite match, which is Diesel defending the WWF title against Bret Hart.
Nice. I was at that.
Oh, sweet! Is it worth going back in the time machine for?
Yes, absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. I had a seat along the aisle for that.
That's amazing.
Ramp. Yeah,
that's my favorite match.
I actually just got Brett to sign the program that I kept for 20 years in pristine condition. Now I just need to find Kevin Nash to sign it. But
yeah,
that's a good choice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you asked Brett about that one, right, when you met him?
I did, and he did tell me some fun things about, like, the photo shoot for the program. They made Kevin Nash stand on a box because he actually wasn't that dramatically taller than Brett in the photos. So they made him stand on a box, and then Brett was like, "I really made Nash that night. That was the night I made him a star." And so
you did.
Yeah, that was
everybody has their best match with Brett for a reason.
Yep.
So my wife is, she's maybe a little more practical. She just asks what's next for the Boar after April 22nd. And obviously you're going to beat Buckshot Brian Brock and he just send him back to his hidey hole. But after you lay a good whooping on him, who do you want next? Do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, I don't want to look past him, but if I were to, for the sake of the question, I think my goal with this title is really just putting the emphasis on heavyweight. It's something I feel like I joke about it, but I also do feel really passionate about it. I feel like really great heavyweight wrestling, I don't think there's anything better than it, and that's just how I feel. It's my opinions, and personally, I think that's where the money is. And I think you look at a lot of the downtimes of a lot of promotions. It's when you got your smaller, more compact athletes featured at the top, and you need those differences. You need the different body types and everything. But I think times are best. I think things are most interesting, and I think people are most behind the heavyweights. They want to see the big people going at it, and that's my goal. Give me the biggest, give me the baddest, and let me prove I'm the best. So Devontae is out there. We've torn it up a couple times, but bring him on. Any heavyweights want to come down or come up from Jacksonville? If Uncle Tony will let them come out and play, let's rock.
Let's get Hobbs up here, huh?
Let's get Hobbs up here, man. Like I didn't mention Hobbs. I really like Powerhouse Hobbs.
He's good.
Yeah, he's really good. But quit working with those little dudes down there and let's tear it up. Let's do some big boy stuff.
Yeah, VCW's got some big dudes. There's a lot of
Absolute Phil, Dirty Money. We got a lot of stocky dudes. Even our women. Erica Lee, my tag team partner, giant. Savannah Evans, monster. We just got great size. We have TV stars. We have a lot of TV sized wrestlers in VCW, which I really love.
Erica had a great match at that Hampton show. That was a lot of fun. So
yeah, they got 2 out of 3 falls coming up, I think, at the temple as well.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. Her and Savannah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that event a little bit. April 22nd, again, at the Masonic Temple on Granby Street here in Norfolk, VCW, VCWProWrestling.com. You can get your tickets. Make sure you do it quickly before they're all gone. So tell me a little bit about your opponent, Buckshot Brian Brock, and what he's in for, and how do you see that one going?
I got a lot of motivation because now that I've got the title, I've got the heavyweight championship of Virginia. Now the hard work begins. Right? It was one thing to get there; it's another thing to keep it. And I can't be one and done. I can't go out like a sucker. Give me your biggest test first. And I think this is it. So line him up. I'm gonna knock him down. He's a big dude. He's gonna knock me around, I'm sure. I've felt him. I know what he feels like. I know what he's bringing. We haven't met in singles competition yet, and I got a little bit of extra confidence now. I got the people even more behind me now. All he's got is Sharky. I'll take 400 people screaming at the top of their lungs behind me, and match that up with Sharky and Brian Brock any day. So let's rock.
Yeah, that crowd's going to be hot. Lots of Boar fans in the area. Everybody's going to be chanting. I think the roof's going to come off that place. I mean, hopefully not literally because it's a historic building, but you know what I mean. So,
I have a question for you, and it's not on our sheet here. So
all right, go for it.
I'm going to hit you with a blind side here. You mentioned wanting to really work with heavyweights and really showcase heavyweights. Now, a lot of heavyweight matches, at least in the past, have been, as what Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, snug, a bit stiff, like kind of real hitting. Are you more into that style of like more like legit contact in there? Like you got to make it real, so you got to hit the guy, or are you kind of?
There's definitely spots, like I prefer not to get punched in the eye, but every once in a while it happens, I prefer not to get my teeth knocked out, but, once in a while you might have a chip back there. But bring the contact, man. Like I'm 265. I think people can tell, as my mom likes to say, when she watches a lot of events or watches wrestling, kind of waiting for my match, and she'll be like, nobody hits anybody anymore. Like everybody's ducking and dodging hits.
Yeah.
You're not going to see me drop down. You're not going to see too many go behinds. You're not going to see many leapfrogs. Like I'm not avoiding contact. I got no reason to avoid contact. It's one thing Kevin Nash has talked about too with big men. Like there's no reason to avoid contact. I can take whatever you're given. And give it back to you tenfold. So give me the contact, whether I see it or not, and we'll go from there.
How about chops? Are you into the chops, the Ric Flair chops, or?
I'm of the Bret Hart camp that there's a time and place and select people to do them. They do hurt a lot. I don't think people realize how much they do hurt. It's one of those things that like probably doesn't translate realistically in the ring. Like it's not a tickle. They hurt. They slice you open. They give you a little cut. They kind of almost, it's right there to the heart. So there's definitely a danger element to them, and they knock the wind out of you too. So they suck all around. So I'm not a fan. Hopefully my opponents don't hear that. So they know my weakness. But
if you got a match with Gunther, are you gonna let's take it easy, or are you gonna let him
I'll
tee
see
off?
that chop coming from a mile away. Yeah. Bring it. Again, he's hitting the chops. All right, hit Sheamus and McIntyre. Those are some big dudes. But other than that, come on, who you hitting, man?
That dude lays him in, man. We watched was it 2 or 3 matches with Ilya
Dragunov.
Ilya Dragunov. Holy shit!
Ilya looked like he'd been hit by a truck after that match.
I thought that guy was legit going to die. Like seriously, those are some amazing matches. All right. Well, we want to be respectful of your time, and you're just really super appreciative of you of visiting our little podcast and talking a little bit about your amazing career so far and your run in VCW, your brand new heavyweight championship, and of course that defense coming up on April 22nd here in Norfolk. Anything else you want to plug? Is there any place people can go to get your merch or anything like that?
Best way to grab my merch is meet me in person at one of these events. That's how I like to do business, face to face, interaction and experience. That way I remember you, you remember me. So yeah, come meet me at a show. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, both at Boar Is War, BOAR is War, just like the t-shirt says. Cash only, please, because I don't need the government up in my business. And support some great podcasts. You want to give, of course, this one that you're listening to. Keep supporting these guys. Support some friends of mine over at the soon-to-be named network. They have a great plethora of podcasts. Again, that's headed up by Joe Sposto. You might know him as Leonard F. Carson, Kayfabe. And another podcast group out there, the North-South Connection. They got a lot of great programming as well. So that's it for me for plugs.
Very cool. Thanks for doing that. And once again, you can always find us at allthewrestlemanias.com. You can find us on Twitter at WrestleManiaPod. You can always check out our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube, all the other places. If you want to support the show, you can go to ko-fi.com/allthewrestlemanias. Drop us $5 for the cost of a cup of coffee. We can put it into the Boar's Blading Legal Defense Fund. We can put it towards Boar's dental hygiene fund. Those tusks can't be cheap to maintain.
No.
And so, yeah. All right.
I have one more question.
All right.
Before you
Come on,
we
Rich.
gotta ask. We gotta ask it.
All right.
It's right there. It's right there. What was your favorite WrestleMania?
It's WrestleMania 17.
That's a good one.
Is that a common one? Is that a common one people say?
I mean, that's a big one that a lot of people lean into. I was partially expecting that answer, especially with the.
Yeah, for
with
me
the main
it's
event.
17. It's I think it's the perfect example of every match can be good to great, but everything builds up to the main event. And the main event, I mean, to me it's the epitome of main event, man. Doesn't get any bigger than the two biggest stars of that generation going at it. And the story being told of the old gunslinger that doesn't have it anymore, and he knows he doesn't have it anymore, so he already made a deal with the devil. It's fantastic storytelling. So yeah, it's got to be WrestleMania 17 for me.
That's a good answer. I'm glad you snuck that in there, Rich. Good job.
I mean, it's in our name. You know, we gotta find out when we have people on what their favorite WrestleMania is. So
This is why we keep you around. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you again, Boar.